So you can use it to talk about yourself, and then you can use it to draw other people out and help them talk about themselves. So before I dive in, I just kind of want to get a feel, and feel free to put it in the chat, or I don't know if you can unmute yourself or if you have to ask to be unmuted. But just curious, is there anything, you know, like what do you need from each other or from me to make, you know, this next hour and 15 minutes successful? Anything that I should be aware of or that you want from each other? And it can be as technical as I can't hear you. Can you speak up? Anything about pronouns. I'm going to change my name right now to add my pronouns. You can call me Stephanie, but anything else from the group?
I would say deepening connections with other organizations so that we can partner and collaborate more in our community.
Okay. What would that look like, Meredith? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious if you can say a little bit more.
I think just having greater discussions about kind of what we do and who we are and what our missions are and how our missions can align so that we can potentially work closer together as a community.
Okay, that's helpful. Anything else? Heidi put in conversations with the rest of the group. Okay, that's helpful. Thanks, Heidi. Honest feedback about the elevator pitch for ourselves and our programs. Elizabeth, do you go by Elizabeth, Liz? Elizabeth, I think let's keep that in mind. At the end, we'll have some time for Q&A, and we can, I'm not going to be addressing that directly, but we can talk about that. Or maybe that's something we could do at another time too. So my one request was cameras on if you can. We're going to do some breakout rooms, and this will be pretty interactive as well. What else did I write down that I want? Please feel free if you want to jump in and ask questions, feel free. And then if you want to drop them in chat, I'll keep an eye on the chat, and Meredith, maybe you can help me. And then the other thing is, as you know, this is being recorded, but you're going to go into breakout rooms twice. And I think during that time, you won't be recorded. Your breakout rooms are private, just so you know. So when you have discussion, it can be private. And then I think the recording, Meredith, you know, edits that out, and then we come back as a group. So, okay. I wanted to do, FYI, Zoom will record a room if the person recording is in the room. Okay, so maybe Meredith, you're recording, so I'll have you stay in the main room with me when we go to breakout. Okay, excellent. Well, let's dive in. I already gave a little bit of who I am, a little bit of what we want to do today. Also want to share just the other housekeeping item. I created a survey at the end of this workshop. If you want, I'll drop, it's a Google survey. I'll drop it in the link. Would love feedback if you feel like sharing. Let's dive in. It's a quiet group. I think I'm gonna send us to breakouts right away. There's a technique, this is kind of an aside to Origin, but I'm sure you all facilitate groups. So it's a really nice way to kind of deepen those connections. So I'm just gonna give everyone a chance to talk in a small group. Might put us in triads if there's 16 minus 2, so 14 dyads. We'll do dyads, it'll be easier to divide. And just answer 3 questions. This is a nice technique to do at the beginning of a meeting to clear. So the questions, I'll drop them in the chat. What's distracting you? And then the second, what do you feel? And then the third, what do you hope to get out of today? And I know a couple people already shared that. This is just will be a practice to make sure I can get our room set up. So keep these questions in mind. Let's give each of you 5 minutes just to chat with each other. So 10 minutes total, 5 minutes each. Actually, let's cut it down to 7. What's distracting you? What do you feel? What do you hope to get out of today? This is just a practice so we get our rooms right. Let's just make sure I can do it. Assign automatically. So I need 7 breakout rooms. Correct. How do you and I stay in this one, Meredith? I make sure. Oh, they'll close in 30 seconds. Got a forced close. Okay, that's fine. This is why we did a practice run. Does anyone else want to put in chat what you hope to get out of today? I think it'll be helpful because I can kind of gear at the end. We'll have some open time to talk. I think I will make some broader room at the end for everyone to talk because I think we've got some various agendas and maybe other things that I can address. So if you want to, drop in the chat what you hope to get out of today. And then I'll lean in to what we're going to do. So as I mentioned briefly, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more. Meredith and I spoke, and she said, you know, here's a situation that occurs with volunteers. They might have a different idea of what they want to do. They might not connect to our technology or some other procedures. There's ways in which the systems that organizations set up might create barriers or friction or a sense of disconnection for volunteers. I see Mariah shaking her head. Has anyone else experienced that, or is that something? So part of what conversations with like-minded individuals. So part of what I wanted to structure today is a workshop on a concept called original myth. And this is something that you can use. I see John smiling. Is that something that you have worked on before, John? You're on mute.
Yeah, no, I was just, it was something else, but you
Okay.
made me think of something else that's not relevant, but yeah.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I'm sorry to call you up.
That's okay.
So the idea of original myth or original story, and this is something that works really nicely in nonprofits because it's a way, whether you're working with a board, whether you're working with volunteers, whether you're doing an intake interview, it's a really nice way to connect someone to why they are here, to kind of reconvene or reconnect to that sense of original stories. So when we say myth, we aren't necessarily talking about something that is untrue, but just that deep sense of story as to why people are here, why they're volunteering, why they're connected. It's a really nice technique to use if there's burnout, if there's really kind of, you've moved into that place of really tactical or strategic conversation and you want to move it back into that heart space. It's a really nice way to kind of build that rapport and connection with someone the first time you meet them, or you know, to sort of reconnect to that sense of why you're there together. So it's a tool that I'm going to teach. It's a coaching tool, a systems coaching tool as well. And then to the original point that Meredith brought up, when you have that hard conversation, when you have to have that tactical conversation or that redirection or something that is may create a little bit of friction, this helps either repair or build or know that you've established that reservoir of goodwill and connection initially. Let me stop there. Any questions so far? Anything someone wants to raise so far? And please feel free to jump in or put in the chat if you do. Okay, so that said, original myth. What we're going to do then is I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to give everyone a chance to practice it. And then we can open it up to more conversation if you want, or we can pivot and talk about other communications challenges or things you might have wanted to bring up when you came here today. Okay. So I kind of talked about what this original myth is, or that idea of original story. And I'm going to share a doc. I'm going to share a doc here that I have on my screen that I also will either email to you or get to you. Actually, stop, cancel. I'm going to just share it on the screen, and then I'll email it to you guys later because it's kind of hard to find. Okay, this is a worksheet that I will let you take home with you. I'll ping it to you. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pull you guys over. It's funny that like now I can only see half of you. Is there a way I can deepen so I can see everyone and share my screen? Maybe not. Okay, so really what we're talking about is an interview technique, a way to kind of reconnect people again to that sense of who they are. And the easiest way to understand this is to watch it happen in real time. So I've asked a volunteer to work with me on this. I've asked Heidi. But before we do that, this is really, I want to kind of address one part, which is this first step. So really what you're going to do in this technique is really just channel a different kind of mindset. And the way I phrased it is step into a mindset of deep curiosity and heart. That's a little bit abstract. So there's an exercise that you can do to really sort of channel what that means. So take a minute, and you can turn off your camera if you want, but I want everyone to really channel what it means to feel deeply curious about someone. And the easiest way I know to do this is to think about someone or something you love so much. Maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your animal, maybe it's your significant other. Just someone who you feel like such a deep sense of fascination and curiosity that it's all encompassing of your being. Just take a minute and kind of channel that feeling of just seeing someone and being so amazed by them. And that's really the mindset that you want to bring to this. And then what the exercise is I've outlined it here as these questions. It just becomes a process of asking, following a set of questions. You don't have to follow these literally, but what they really are is channeling a positive, open-ended experience so that that person really reconnects to who they are and what brought them here. I'm going to stop sharing while we do this just because I can't see all of the people. And I'm going to bring this, I'll email you this document when we're done. So let's just dive in. The easiest way to understand this is to watch it. So I asked Heidi to be my volunteer. Heidi, where are you on my screen? Can I find you? There you are. Okay, Heidi, you're going to be my volunteer. So
Okay.
are we still up for it, knowing what we're going to do?
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Okay. If everyone else wants to turn off your cameras, so you'll just be watching. And if you want to, you can hide non-participants if that's easier for you. It makes the screen a little clearer, so you're just seeing me and Heidi. I'm gonna pin. I'm gonna change my. Okay, Heidi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stephanie?
Good, good. Where do you tell me where you work again?
Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
Almost 5 years.
What is it like there?
It is exciting. You never know what you're gonna do.
I see the Southwest. I see your cactus picture in the background.
Yes.
Are you in your office today or at home?
I'm at home.
Okay. You work from home often?
Just right now because I have a cough.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
It's okay.
You're feeling okay though to do this?
I'm feeling fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me about, like, how did you wind up there? What brought you to Lutheran Social Services?
Well, I grew up Lutheran, and that is not the typical way that people come to Lutheran Social Services, but I grew up Lutheran and I spent a year volunteering with the Lutheran Church in South America. And I came back and was working in behavioral health and was just feeling really burnt out. So I was looking for a career change. And then I found a volunteer coordinator position at Lutheran Social Services and applied and have been here ever since.
In 5 years, that's a long time in nonprofits.
Mm-hmm. It was. When I did my interview, she asked if I saw myself there in 5 years, and I lied and said yes, but here I am. So
what is it that you first really appreciated about your role there or the organization?
I think the just variety of stuff I got to do and the different programs that we have and the diversity of our team and our volunteer team. There just are a lot of people to learn from and meet that really have added to my life. So I had never worked with refugees before, and I really enjoyed that part of our work. And I really had a good time getting one of our projects started with older adults and their pets. And so I've gotten to do a lot of things that I'm passionate about just in general.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the early experiences that you remember?
Going along on a Meals on Wheels driver's route with him and seeing how that works, and realizing that people that we serve were in my neighborhood was really nice to see. And then going along to a arrival of a refugee at the airport, and just getting to be there for really special times in people's lives.
But it would be, I'm sure, really powerful experiences. Is there anyone that you remember, any stories that really hit you?
I think one of those first refugee arrivals, it was a daughter who was coming to the United States, and her family had all been here already. And her travel kept getting delayed because of all the issues that were happening in the refugee resettlement in 2017. She was supposed to come, and then she couldn't come, and finally she was able to arrive, and just seeing her embrace her mom in the airport was really special.
I bet. What do you admire about your colleagues and the work they do?
They're so hardworking, and there are two of them on this call today who I just am very proud to get to work with. But it's just really special to see the ways that they live out our mission of caring for people. Like, I just really see how everybody goes above and beyond to just give care to people in need, and without judgment and without any kind of restrictions, just really caring for people.
Why do you think the universe brought you to this organization?
I think I needed a stable job really. And just, I have a really supportive team that I get to work with, and just been a great position to be in as I've gone through a lot of life changes. It's been a really a good part of my life for the past 5 years.
Yeah. What do you think is unique about what you guys do, your organization? What makes it unique?
I think the fact that our programs are so broad, we serve so many really distinct populations, but the core of all of that is coming from a place of just care in every aspect of our work. So there's, no matter what it is, from the food pantries to, in-home care for seniors or doing foster care, it all comes from a place of just wanting to build people up and have a little more peace in their lives. So I think it's really special, and the faith-based heritage is something that's different from a lot of groups. So
yeah,
it's a special thing.
And that word care, there's something about that word and your energy that feels really caring.
It's really a special place. So
yeah. Is there a metaphor or like a symbol or something you attach to that you think about when you think about the organization?
I don't know. That's a good question. Since I do our communications, I think of the logo because that's what I put on everything that I make. But really just a lot of heart in the work.
Yeah. Is there, and what is your connection to volunteers?
I always have been a volunteer at different places throughout my life. And my role now is a lot less connected with volunteer stuff. But I utilize volunteers, and I get to help a little bit with some of the recruitment efforts that we do. But I just started on the SAVMA board 4 years ago, and I'm still here, but I'm not as directly related to volunteer work anymore.
And you lived overseas? And then you're working with refugees now. There's something like a connection, a really personal connection for you about serving and that kind of that international cohort.
Yeah, that has been a really special part of the work because obviously I didn't stay in South America, but being a stranger and being new to a place and not being fluent right away in the language and not knowing how to get around, I can understand some of that feeling of like helplessness sometimes, of like, what do I do now? Who do I talk to? And how important it is to have somebody that you can go to and ask questions about stuff that might seem basic to us, but you just wouldn't know if you didn't grow up here.
Yeah, having that firsthand experience. I bet gives you a new perspective.
Definitely, yeah.
I know there's just something really steady about your personality too.
Well, thank you.
I hope that's a compliment.
That's nice. That is a compliment.
Like
yeah.
That. Okay. Let's just say, you mentioned a couple of your colleagues are here.
Yes, they are.
What would you, if there was something you wanted to share with them right now while you have the platform, what would you want to share?
I appreciate how both of you step into challenging situations. And Edwin, I know you're brand new, but I'm grateful that you're part of our team. And Jessica, you have such a caring heart and a giving spirit, and I'm grateful to work with you.
Heidi, thanks for being a volunteer.
Thank you.
Let's have everyone come back. And let's just hear from you. What did you notice? What did you notice was useful for you, or what did you notice about that conversation? And thanks to Heidi. Everyone give Heidi a round of applause. Thank you, Heidi. What did you notice about the conversation?
You did a good job tying in questions with stuff that I had already said. I thought that felt really natural. So well done.
And Heidi, let's let everyone else talk and then let's come back to you. I want to ask you a couple more questions.
Well, Heidi seems, like you said, very well grounded and comfortable in her own skin and in her work. And that's really good to see. You can kind of feel the groundedness. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like she answered the questions fully. You know, sometimes you ask a question and then, you know, they kind of give you half an answer and you kind of have to pull and like, well, I want more. You know, she gave us a lot of information, which gave you information to come back and ask other questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it felt very unscripted. Like, I know you had a set questions that you wanted to ask, but tying in what she had already said to the next question made it flow really well.
I would say that people love to talk about themselves. I mean, not in a bad way. It's just the most natural topic that we have. So I felt like you really utilize that to your advantage.
Yeah. And Heidi, being in the hot seat, how did it feel for you? Not necessarily being on stage, but pretending that this was just an intimate conversation that we were having.
I felt a little curious to see what the questions were going to be, and I felt grateful that my job is communications, and so I know a lot of the just general organizational answers from preparing talking points for other staff, and from doing this work for a long time. So, but it was really interesting, and it was helpful for me to get a better sense of other ways to ask questions.
So, okay, thank you. I don't want to hurry us along. Anyone else have thoughts or anything they want to share? Meredith, anything from you?
I was just going to say you could sense your true curiosity in learning about who she was, and it just felt authentic and heartfelt. And I feel like that gives people the opportunity to feel comfortable and to feel like they can be honest, and also to feel kind of proud of what they're speaking on.
Yeah. So say Heidi was a volunteer. She comes into your organization and you have a conversation with her like this. What did you learn about her person, her temperament, her interests that you might channel?
For me, I would offer to be a volunteer at Heartland Hospice right now. The steal her.
More, yeah.
Just her, the empathy that she has is one of the things that we look for. The calm, not too excitable.
Yeah. So it's kind of channeling her into that role, into a role where you could draw on that sense of stability, that sense of, yeah.
And one of the things working with volunteers is we want them to be successful, otherwise they won't be a volunteer.
Yes.
So it's trying to find the right role for each volunteer and for each patient to the volunteer.
Yes. As much about channeling that temperament or getting to know their temperament, their experiences, for sure. Okay. Okay. Now I do have to share this document because I'm gonna divide you up into rooms again, and you will get to interview each other. So I'll give you each of, let's do 10, you'll have 20 minutes total. So 10 minutes each, and you'll have the questions. And I don't remember who said it, but I really did. I think it was Mariah. I really did follow the template, not to the letter. You know, if someone asks something that you're curious about, you can pivot and go down that way. But what is interesting about following the template is you will ask things that you think, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm about to ask someone about the universe. Like, it goes deep, right? So this gets to be the practice area. You get to try it. You get to ask the questions and see what happens. All right, now I have to really share that document so everyone can pull it up. Because can you see the shared screen if I put you into breakout rooms?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so let me share this worksheet.
If it doesn't work too, you can email it to me really quickly, and I have the list and I can email it to everyone really quick.
I think it's right there. Can everyone grab it? Can you guys grab that little guy? Okay. Okay, so we'll put you into breakout rooms. Keep track of your own time. You have 10 minutes to interview each other. And the idea is to really get to the origin story. So a lot of these questions you'll hear, they're getting to that origin story of the individual's connection to your organizations right here. But you could use this in another context. Let's say you want to talk to someone whose organization wants to have a volunteer day or have members of their organization volunteer. That you can start to shift that and think, okay, well, what's important in this organization or to this manager or to the CEO that they are interested in this work? So you can kind of tailor it. Maybe it's your volunteer and you want to know why they want to volunteer with zoo animals or on a board. So you can kind of tailor it. But for this exercise, so that you each can feel what it feels like to kind of lean into that, you'll craft that conversation around your own work at your organizations or your own industry, if that makes sense. Okay, all right, let's do, and Erin, I'm gonna move, I think it's gonna be the same rooms. Erin, I'll move you back in, I'll put you in another room. So one room is gonna have 3 people. Okay, I'll open all rooms and you have 20 minutes.
One was Clover. They're my border collies, good partners.
I think everyone's back. What was that like?
We had a great time.
Yeah, I'm totally on team Elizabeth now.
Yep, we feel like we have a new friend now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was afraid that I was gonna I set my timer. I was afraid I was gonna be talking like the whole 20 minutes myself. I got really nervous about it, but then it just kind of ended organically. It seemed like the right amount of time to answer those specific questions.
Yeah. What did you notice? What did you learn about your partner, your other person? Anything that you want to appreciate?
I learned that we work in the same building.
What? And you didn't know?
We both just started like the same time, which is only like less than 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
So so we found that funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And now I know something about her, so I'll be able to go further. So it was a great introduction to meet her. I really like those questions. I thought there were some good questions.
Yeah.
I would say it's really heartwarming to hear that other people appreciate the same things that you appreciate, even though they're different organizations. So it's just kind of nice to there's a lot of good out there.
Yeah. Shifting to, how would you see yourself using this in your work?
I was really encouraged that we could get through these questions, which ended up being pretty deep, getting at the heart of a lot of matters in 10 minutes. So it really felt like, well, this could be easily incorporated in an interview, and like you said, trying to sort of screen, I guess, a volunteer or what have you. So it seems really practical.
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead, Edwin.
Yeah, I liked just like the mutuality of it, that it was not just one person, but then you shared, you switched roles. So I think that could be just really useful, especially as I'm going out into the community and doing co-sponsoring. So I enjoyed the activity a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, even knowing it takes 10 minutes, something you could do with a board or at a retreat, or, just something like that as a way to a 20-minute activity. Cool, cool. Any other thoughts or questions? Anything else you want to bring up?
Well, when we got into our group, we kind of laughed because we had time in that first breakout session that we naturally went into some of these questions. So it was really easy to just kind of go right back into the format and answering them. So that was kind of fun, just to be like, oh, okay, our conversation was fluid and didn't feel forced in any way.
Yeah. Were there any questions that you have a hard time at, like, I can't believe I'm going to ask this, but now I'm going to ask this? I always think the question about the universe is a little like, oh my gosh, is this person going to think I'm like totally nuts that I'm bringing up the universe? And no one ever hesitates. They're just like, oh, well, they just answer it. So I'm always shy about that one, but it never really like flops.
I love that question because it leaves it open for interpretation from the other person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it
enjoyed that Stephanie and I ended up chatting and just that these questions were the way that they were. And I hadn't seen these ahead of time, but Stephanie was actually the person who originally suggested that I look into working at United Way. So it was kind of like a full circle conversation, which was really cool.
And a story that I didn't know. I mean, I guess I kind of vaguely remember that. That's so long ago. If you thinking about your person that you interviewed, what would you, let's give some kudos. What did you admire about the other person that you spoke to? What's one thing that you admired about them?
I'll say I interviewed John, and I can tell he really cares about the work he's doing, and he's committed to learning about the community that he's working in, and I think that's really great.
I interviewed Meredith. I'll go just quickly, and I think what I admired was just the sense I've known Meredith, like, I don't know, 10 years, and just getting to hear the story and everything that she's gotten to do in the 7.5 years, it just felt like so much depth.
I was with Elizabeth, who also is at the United Way. I think you guys are like a half of the group today. But I admired about her positivity, and it also just seems like she has a really great amount of faith. And I think that that's working well for her.
Right back at you, Georgette. We kind of talked about how brave, well, Georgette was really brave in taking a major shift in direction in terms of the type of work she was doing. And so that's, it takes a lot of bravery to change course like that.
Yeah, and you too, Aaron, right back at you. What came through to me is you're very, very dedicated to changing things for the better. And I can see you doing that for sure.
I interviewed Jessica, and I will say just how authentic and genuine a person she is, and how that must translate into the work that she does and helps make those connections with not only coworkers, but volunteers and everybody around her.
I interviewed Edwin, and I would say that even though he's only been there for a month now, still like super willing to answer these deep questions about the organization and the people he works with. So.
And I was with Carrie, and it was really nice to be able to sit and talk with her, and her passion for the zoo. She's been with them for 11 years. And I just think that that is amazing to see. Kind of like Stephanie, you mentioned with Heidi being at LSS for 5, you don't really see that in a lot of job places. So your dedication is really inspiring.
Yeah, I was with Mariah, and something that I appreciated was just her willingness to go off script and just open herself up. I really appreciated her honesty.
Did everyone share?
I listened to John and Aaron interview each other, and it was really fun to just get to be a fly on the wall and hear their conversation and just see their first meeting of new coworkers. I was like, wow, but they're both have really interesting backgrounds and seem like a great fit for United Way. So that was really fun to listen to.
And does anyone want to pile on some kudos to Heidi for being our volunteer? Anyone have anything you want to share with Heidi?
Oh, I thought Heidi's humility was very indicative of someone who works in a nonprofit and does what she does.
And I want to say that being the one who got hired as a volunteer coordinator after Heidi got into a new role, not only did she help me feel comfortable in the organization, but also learn and, be knowledgeable about the organization. She was also just a great friend. And so I'm very lucky to work with you.
I'm going to take it back from before this actual meeting and say that I think that Heidi was the very first person in the very first partner organization, like one-on-one meeting I had as a new United Way employee. And I left that meeting thinking, oh my gosh, what nice people. This is going to be no problem. So she definitely made me feel very much at ease. So thank you, Heidi.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's great.
So we have just a couple minutes. I want to make sure everyone gets out on time, go have happy hour, sign off for the day. So a couple things, I'll stay over. I can stay for 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you have questions, because I know we didn't get to have very many questions. I'm gonna drop a link right now in the chat to a little survey just to give some feedback if you want. It'll take maybe 3 minutes. I would appreciate it. And then finally, just kind of think about, just a kind of a closing, take a minute and appreciate the energy and the connection that you have here now compared to when we started an hour and a half ago. How much the power of that type of connection can really bond people and bring them together. So at the bottom of your worksheet, there's also, okay, I'll make it public. Thank you. I'll do that right after. Actually, I'm going to pause and do that right now. There's another part of that worksheet that I gave you that gives you an opportunity. It gives you some instructions for doing it with a group. You would model it just like you did here, and it's fairly simple. Form default responses. Done. Now it should be good to go. So I want to thank you all. I was nervous coming in, a quiet group. I just didn't know how it was going to go. I have to say, I feel like I know all of you so much better. Loved it. Would love to keep in touch. I put my Instagram on there, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm active on both. So please feel free to reach out. Would love to stay connected. And like I said, Meredith, if you want to stay a few minutes, I'm happy if people have questions. Otherwise, such a pleasure. Thank you again, Meredith, for inviting me. And thank you all for being willing and open participants. Thank you.